All right. Shalom, shalom. Like to first and foremost start by giving infinite praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakab Kwadash. I like to say Shalom, Wa'ashem, Kabab, God Wala Rakab, Zequayim Nawa, Wahashala Yakim Nawa, which of course, double honor to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom, Wabarakim, Labakarim, Shaw, Yasha Allah, which is peace and blessings unto the elect. I'm the brother Dawadah from the DC Church. I'm Salakia. I'm Brother Dawood from the DC Church, back with another short lesson through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And real quick, let me just turn this on so, I don't get too many messages or whatever. But real quick, as you can see on the screen, this is from New York Times. It says 75 homeless camps in DC cleared by U.S. Park Police since Trump's safe and beautiful executive order. And, really I wanted to touch on this because there's been a lot of legislation going on. Especially here in DC, there's a lot, that takes place with this being the capital. And, we see it, us brothers who actually out here, we see the changes taking place on the ground. And, really the point that I wanted to speak to is how fast they can flip the script. You see, it really goes to show how much power they actually have, because here it is for years, there's been crime, chaos, and all of these things happening in DC. And just in a matter of a few weeks, or not even a few weeks, really a few days, all right, after, they really started cracking down on beautifying the city and, having extra law enforcement on the streets, it's been nothing but quiet, man. And it goes to show, man, Esau allows, all right, these crimes to take place. Because if they really wanted to, they could go to Chirac. They could go to, the ghettoest parts of New York, all right, Florida, okay. They could send those troops over there, National Guards, and shut that whole thing down, man. All right. So it just goes to show you that, when we get to these final hours, these hours of temptation, and they start implementing martial law and things of that nature, and start, hauling Jake off into concentration camps, it's going to be quick, man. All right. So I'm gonna just touch on this article real quick, grab some precepts, Lord willing, this be edifying. It says 75 homeless camps in DC cleared by U.S. Park Police since Trump's safe and beautiful executive order. It says federal officials have cleared about 75 homeless camps around the nation's capital under President Trump's effort to clean up Washington, D.C. And they're not done yet. It says United States Park Police have removed dozens of tents since the president penned the Making the District of Columbia Safe and Beautiful executive order in March. The Department of the Interior told the Post on Friday. Authorities have also succumbed up to 80 graffiti sites from Capitol Hill parks as of August 6th, Interior officer said. All right, you can see right here, this is the before of, so like it got all these damn pop-ups. But this is the before, all right, of the homeless camps, and this is the after. So they're showing you that they clearing all of these people out, man. All right, they're damn near making it illegal for you to be homeless. Okay, so it says Trump signed the order to make DC safe and beautiful in March, and our dedicated U.S. Park Police have been working around the clock since to enforce this directive cleanup of our streets and ensure our nation's capital is safe. It says Interior Deputy Press Secretary Aubrey Spady revealed. Okay, so again, you see that they're really cracking down, man. All right, this is another before, and this is another after. All right, and these people were out in the woods, man. Okay, you have certain areas of DC that has like more, nature and stuff like that, and that's where these homeless people go to, find shelter. All right, but they getting all of them out of there. It says Interior leaders led by Secretary Doug Burgum. It says are advising guidelines so there is no tolerance policy for illegal camping on National Park Service property in Washington, including no longer handing out warnings before vagrants are pushed off the public spaces. The feds will also crack down on vandals who spray graffiti or cause damage to federal monuments, statues, or buildings. Okay, so anybody who knows DC as well knows that Southeast DC is probably the most, I would say, ghetto part of DC. All right, that's where all the, the hood, the YNs is at. And even there, they're feeling it. All right, you got the federal agents all up in the neighborhoods over there, clearing all of them niggas out, man. And it's like, this could have been done years ago, it just shows you that, at the stroke of a pen, all right, at the signing of this executive order, how fast things can actually change. All right, how quick things could get turned up, man. Okay. So there's actually a couple more articles. I looked up the articles on use this AI tool, ChatGPT. Another one is Trump's federal law enforcement crackdown ripples through DC neighborhoods. All right. And there's a little bit on this one too. And I'll see if I could drop these articles in the description. But I'm gonna read a little bit of this one since it's pretty short. It says, this is from AP News. It says the main drag in Washington, Columbia Heights neighborhood is typically crammed with people peddling pupusas, fresh fruits, souvenirs, and clothing. And that's true. Usually on that street in Columbia Heights, Washington, D.C., that's where we do our pilgrims. And there's always vendors out there, always people out there, selling different type of stuff. Now the streets are just totally empty. It says on Tuesday, though things felt different, the white tents and bulk with food and merchandise were scarcer than usual. It says everything had stopped last week, said Yasin, who sells jewelry and glass figurines. It says most of his customers and fellow vendors, he said, have just disappeared, particularly if they speak Spanish. It says the abnormally quiet streets, and that shows you, man. Esau is coming for you, Jakes, man. All right, you northern tribes, but also you southern tribes too, man. All right. Anybody who's deemed an illegal, okay. It says, and not deemed an illegal, who actually is, illegal. But it says the abnormally quiet street was one of the many pieces of evidence showing how President Donald Trump's decision to flood the nation's capital with federal law enforcement, immigration agents have rippled through the city, while troop deployments and foot patrol in downtown areas and around the National Mall have gotten the most attention. Life in historically diverse neighborhoods like Columbia Heights is being reshaped as well. All right, that's where you have a lot of YNs at too. But another thing I wanted to say is, the thing about the illegals, really, it's majority you Jakes. What about all of these Europeans who came to this country illegally, so to speak? All right, Canadians, all right. All these Edomites who came to the country illegally, you rarely see them on the news, or you rarely see them getting hemmed up, man. It's mostly for you Jakes. All right. It says more Republican governors send a National Guard to Washington backing Trump. Okay, so you got governors sending National Guards to DC. So I just want to jump into 2nd Ezra, the 5th chapter, all right? Because it just tells you, when we see things like this, these are the signs of the times, man. All right? This is just a precursor to martial law, okay? It just shows you, I'm not going to say this is a precursor to martial law. I'm going to just say that it just shows you how fast they can implement martial law. All right? It just shows you how fast Esau, at the stroke of a pen, all right, with signing this executive order, it just shows you how these things can come into effect. All right, because I believe it hasn't even been a week or two. It hasn't even been that long, and they clearing everything out. But in 2nd Ezra chapter 5 and verse 1, it says, nevertheless, as coming the tokens. All right, now remember, the tokens are what? When you go back to the word token, all right, it means proof. Okay. So as concerning the proof or the prophecies, all right, because that's exactly what the prophecies is. The prophecies that are happening are proof that our God is real, that Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is real, because that's his way of speaking. That's his way of communicating. All right, pursuant to Habakkuk, the first chapter. All right, so like Habakkuk, the second chapter, it says, "Behold, the days shall come, that days that dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number." That's right. There's going to be a lot of death. There's going to be a lot of persecution. All right, to take place. Okay, and with these rollouts that are happening in regards to making these cities in the name of making these cities safe again, it's just a display of how vast Esau's power is and how fast these things can be implemented and take place. It says, "The way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago." All right. And we're in that time, man, where iniquity is simply just at an all-time high. All right. Morally, spiritually, just in every manner possible. All right. This world, more specifically Babylon, this society, United States of America, has transgressed the laws of the Heavenly Father. All right. And they teach a culture of death. All right. A culture that is anti-Hamashiach. Okay. It says, "And the land shall be barren of faith, but iniquity shall be increased above now which thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. And the land that thou now seest to have root shall be wasted suddenly." And that's right. So, this society, what you see, functioning, everybody's, going to their 9 to 5, things seem to be functioning well. And don't get me wrong, you do have people who are crashing out in these last times. People are starting to realize that the energy is off. Things are getting more wicked. The times are getting closer. All right. Nonetheless, you still have a functional society, a functional economy. But there's going to come a time, which the scriptures is prophesying about, that the land which you now see is to have root, all right, a functioning economy, is not going to be functioning. Okay. But shall be what? Shall be wasted suddenly. All right. And the main part is suddenly. Okay. Because again, it wasn't that long since he signed this executive order into place and that they started cracking down. And as soon as they did, there was literally like a drastic change overnight. All right. In DC. Okay. And brothers can attest to that. DC brothers can attest to that. It says, "But if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet that the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night, and the moon thrice in the day." Okay, the point was first 3 verses. Okay, so I'm gonna jump and I'm gonna grab 2 Timothy chapter 2, chapter 3, and verse 1. "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." All right, and it tells you the different types of perils. All right, the different types of things that will be happening in the latter times. But I also want to read in the NLT. It says, "You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times." All right, there's going to be very difficult times. And the thing is that we're going to be living through this as well. All right. We have families. We have, children. Some of us have children. Okay. We have things that we have to take care of. And it's going to get difficult. All right. But that's where faith kicks in. That's where trusting in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai comes in. That's where putting in all of these years of work, saying that we believe, that time, that it's actually going to be tested. And it's one thing to speak about it, but there's actually going to be a moment when you're not going to be able to go on YouTube and watch the apostles, where you're not going to be able to go on WhatsApp and chat with the brothers or see what brothers are talking about. There's going to come a time like that. So we have to cherish these moments as we do now, all right, and take full advantage, okay, of this thing that we have, man. All right. We have to take full advantage of this, man. All right. So it says, again, it just tells you the different things that are in the world. I'm going to just jump down a little bit. Verse 3, it says, without natural affection, truce breakers, all right, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those things that are good. So like it says, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. All right, it says having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. Okay. Because really those ones, who are living with these particular traits, all right, where it says, without natural affection, truce breakers, all of these different things, they're going to be the ones who get caught up, all right, in these perilous times. Okay. Because really they're distracted by the flesh. All right. Really, these people are enslaved to the flesh. All right. Because the thing about the flesh is when you indulge in the flesh, it gives you a high. All right. And really that has to be balanced. All right. It has to be compartmentalized. All right. Because once you get that high from that pleasure, it's like you keep chasing it and chasing it and chasing it. And that's what these people are like. All they care about is party and bullshit. You see? All they care about is what the media, the propaganda, pretty much what these outlets feed them. Okay. And so you got to disconnect and unplug from that. All right. Got to, man. All right. And feed your spirit with what? Feed your spirit with the spirit of the Lord, his word. Okay. So let me jump and I think that's what I had for that one. And I think I just had one more precept. Yeah, I did. Yup. I'm gonna grab it in the regular version, the KJV, and then we also gonna get it in the GNT. Excuse me. Sirach chapter 5 and verse. Let me see. I kind of just want to get to the point. Yeah, Sirach chapter 5 and verse 7. It says, "Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth." You see, and really these things are the wrath of the Lord, man. The Heavenly Father is the one who controls Esau. All right, the Heavenly Father, the scriptures say the Lord is the one who controls the minds of the kings, all right, to move them to do what his will is. Okay, so when the Heavenly Father wants these devils to crack down, that's when they're going to crack down. Okay, but it's going to happen suddenly. All right, and this is why we have to make sure our spirits is right at all times, because you don't want to be caught unawares. So it says, and put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. All right. So you don't want that to be you. Let me grab it in the GNT, verse 7, Sirach chapter 5 and verse 7. It says, "Come back to the Lord quickly. Don't think that you can keep putting it off. His anger can come upon you suddenly, and you will die under his punishment." Okay. So again, don't take the mercy of the Lord for granted. Take full advantage of this grace period. All right. To get your spirit right, to get your mind right. All right. To stay in communication with the Heavenly Father, with the body, the brothers. Okay. To give charity, to basically do all you can possibly do, so that when that time does come, all right, the Heavenly Father may grant you security, okay, by way of your faith. All right. And so with that, of course, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kodash. Again, I just wanted to bring this out real quick and just emphasize the point, how fast or how suddenly, things can change. All right. How suddenly, all right, they can, send these troops out here. How suddenly martial law can be kicked off. All right. And also just to emphasize the point that, we're approaching these hours of temptation, man. All right. Hey, so again, with that, of course, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Until next time, I'd like to say shalom, shalom, brothers.